Today I have Jeff Cause here from Cause Tailored. He is the president of Cause Tailored. He's second generation owner. I think I'm fair enough to say that.
Yep.
And he's been at it for about 25 some years. And he's here to join me today to talk about developing teams and people. Jeff, my new buddy from the West Coast in Washington area, right?
There we go. We got the right state now. We're killing it. Yeah.
No,
Being the
just
fact finder and all,
yeah, try again, right?
that's great.
Again, just give me quick background about yourself and what you do, especially your consulting side. I think it's very important, and especially for this conversation.
Yeah, it's great. We're a manufacturer. We make things. So if you think of us as really high mixture of products, and we don't make very many of anything. So we're closer to a service industry than we are a manufacturer. And one of our dreams years ago, this is about 20 years ago, I just said, how do we surround ourselves with really smart people, but not pay them to be here? And it wasn't really like I was trying to be cheap, but I recognized we couldn't afford to pay for the smart people to be around. And we had been to Toyota and studied Toyota production system a few times. And just one of the things we started doing was, hey, let's offer tours. And pretty soon we had, for over 10 years, we did free tours, and we had 40,000 people tour us. And it was a 4-hour tour, 3 days a week for free. We had 50, 60 people sometimes in our building. And what we discovered is that that act of sharing knowledge it was helping our teams to grow, but we were surrounded by people all the time that are, really poking in to say, how do we apply flow thinking to healthcare, to computer programming, to government services? And so at some point, I had somebody visit us and say, so you're doing pro bono work for Fortune 500 companies. Why don't you charge?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, it's kind of ministry, so we're trying to love our neighbors. So, Christian worldview, love your neighbors. There's people suffering at work, and, if we can help them along their way, that's good stuff. And she said, yeah, that's all great. Yeah. You go to church, right? I'm like, yeah. Does your pastor make money? I'm like, oh yeah, he gets paid. I'm like, I'm super glad we're not married. Yeah. And she said, if you charge, you'll have higher quality guests. I'm like, yeah, okay, you need to leave now. And this is about 5 years ago. As at that moment, we realized, okay, yeah, our greatest value to society is not making, aircraft parts, although we're good at it and we love it. It's not making furniture, and although we're good at it, we love it. It's really, how do we transform lives? And we have this place where people can come and learn and look at this as a learning laboratory. And I don't have to teach what is evident, meaning, if somebody's coming for a tour, small business people, we like hearing our voices. So we love to tell everybody how smart we are. But the proving ground is actually our factory. The factory will say, Jeff's a hypocrite. If I'm a hypocrite, the factory will speak, hey, this is what we believe. So I don't have to say what we believe. So the consulting model is just really, hey, if you show up, we'll help you. If you need help, we can help you for money. And there's a variety of different ways to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just decided that we put a lot of content out into the world to say, look, there's plenty there, just do it. If you need help, call us. If you need ongoing help, then for sure we have an offer there. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for, but that's really where I spend most of my day, is helping other organizations apply flow thinking to the work they do.
Including yours.
Of course. Yeah. Then that's so, yeah.
So what I really heard there was, you don't make furniture, you don't make aircraft parts, you create people to enjoy working or and understanding themselves better. And I like the term you used, is the learning library, which is the workplace. So what's your process to develop your team and people? And I think you said individually, you're not working on the team, you're working on people individually.
All the above.
The rate here is a team. Concentrate about your team. But I keep hearing you throwing it in the individual in there.
Yeah. So if you think of, so we named our consultancy Truth, plus the word bit, small bit, plus the word pull, attraction. So one of the things that we think are abundantly clear is every human being has their own reason. So part of our conversation that we've had about Kolbe is, hey, what motivates us? What is our knitting? What are we gifted at? What are our strengths? Whatever. So every human being that comes into our four walls, if we think in terms of their contribution to their family, society, long after they're in our company, we're more pure in our effort to develop them. So we kind of say, hey, we're all about growing together, learning and growing together. We just happen to make furniture. We just happen to make airplane parts, and we just happen to help other companies do this. But the main beneficiary of this is those inside these four walls, where we get to help cancer doctors treat cancer in other countries. We get to help glass companies in your neighborhood do a better job serving customers. So these things really go together. And of course, we start with the individual because they're part of the team. But it's also in the system design to make sure that there are a number of systems in place so that if I say, hey, I want to grow, I have basically unlimited tools at my disposal to grow. And that's really, I think, the fun part for us is what are the tools necessary to help me understand myself well enough to engage in whatever is available to us at this company or elsewhere to grow.
So what's your process? Do you have a phraseology, 3-4 words? Like, what's your deal, man? I don't want to pull this up.
Yeah.
Come on, give me the facts. Give me the details.
Yeah, of course, the fat guy. So at a really high level.
Fact. He said fact, not fat guy.
Yeah. PHAT. Yeah. So funny. Yeah. So really high level, the mission of the company is to shine light. So we say shine, and really you'll hear it come up in conversation to say, hey, the product should shine, the package should shine. Hey, do you know that you're a diamond in the rough? You got some dirt on you. Can we help you? Can we shine you up? Or hey, can you shine light on a problem? So light to us is a big part of our communication tool. We have about 11, 12 languages spoken here. So much of what we try to communicate is nonverbal because we use language and get confused.
Right.
So the process is really, what if we have a place that communicates our values all the time? So if you just walk in my building, you can stand there and say, these guys must believe in telling the truth. They must believe in transparency. They must believe in life. They must believe in flow. So much of the teaching or learning happens just by standing there and observing. So it's not that different than standing in the middle of a city and saying, hey, how do people move here? What's the signal? Standing in Shanghai is different than standing in Toronto, different than standing in Mexico City. So starting with the environment. Then we have a series of habits, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly habits, which allow people to engage wherever they're at. And then we do have an intentional growth pathway called Connect, Grow, and Go. This aligns to another model we talked about previously, which is connect. Who are you? Do you know that you're gifted at something? Let's discover that. Do you want to grow? Are you willing to invest time in growing with us? We're willing to do that if you're willing to do your part. So connecting is just, hey, we think you're pretty awesome. You might not know that yet, or you do know it, and you're here because you want to grow. The growth is really just, okay, what are the assignments? What are the habits? What are the tools that you can maybe lead or do, projects you can do to enable you to move forward? Through the growth pathway, for sure, we use Strength Finder and currently use DISC, a couple other tools.
Yep.
So it's really, what are the assignments? Where do you want to grow? We have defined 9 core competencies and the behaviors associated with that. So if we look at that into a Venn diagram, it's character plus competency plus behaviors. Kind of fits the head, heart, hand model that we discussed previously. So, hey, what is the character that you want to become? What are the behaviors that are associated with that character? What competencies or what do you need to know? And that's another virtuous circle. And then the go part. So connect, grow, go is, hey, you're doing stuff. You're teaching it. I think we talked in a previous conversation about learning to teach. So there's science around if you want people to learn. If I want to learn, I learn to teach. And the highest form of understanding something or mastery is when you can teach others to do. So this is where the tours really helps us, because it's not 3 days a week right now, but it's probably, certainly once a week. There's a group of people here to teach. They're basically victims.
Yeah. That for me, that's always, I learned the best times I learned is when I was helping others understand.
Yeah. Yes. So it's very different for one of my colleagues to answer a question of a doctor saying, hey, I I do surgery, I cut bones. Hey, you guys cut wood. That's pretty similar. Let's talk about that. That's a cool deal.
Hmm.
Very, very different for my colleagues to go to the hospital and tour with people and help them do surgeries better. So it's the next level of learning. So what we try to make sure we have is, okay, for the person who wants to grow, that the opportunities to do that are abundant and diverse. And that way we're hitting learning styles, seasons of life,
Hmm.
capabilities. We don't like having one mentor. We always want to have multi-mentor, for example.
Well, why is
So
that? Elaborate on that a bit. More than one mentor.
yeah, it's a great. So one of the things we found is, if you're underneath one great mentor, you could. There's a proverb that you could hope to be like the teacher, but you can't necessarily expect to exceed the teacher.
Right.
So, so if you have two teachers and you can learn the best from both of them, the odds of you becoming what you're aiming at increase, and the speed with which that happens. So we have found that, if you have an area lead, for example, let's say you work on a wood shop, hey, she's your mentor on the activities in the wood shop. But if you're also taking an assignment over an operating system, for example, you're organizing our visual management system, or you're working on business analytics, there's
Hmm.
a different leader that's going to mentor you there.
Right.
Yeah, and then if you start participating in some of our daily coaching with our clients, that's a whole different ball game of mentorship. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's really the 80-20 rule. It's like, okay, I've been around you enough to know I want to spend time with you to learn what makes you special. And I can't learn everything, and we're wired differently, but I can pick up, and I already am picking up some of the things that make you tick.
Hmm.
What allows me to do is copy you when the situation arises, or call you and say, Andre, dude, I know you're good at this thing, and you've even said, hey, I'm an 8 or you're a 3, whatever,
Yeah.
on the Kolbe. Yeah, can you pinch hit for me? How'd you think about this? So it allows us to really understand how to move, and we're all about flow. So it's
Hmm.
um, in our statement of purpose, we say, discover your knitting and get good at using it. So we don't say, hey, discover your knitting, ignore it, and do some shitty job that doesn't align to you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That really knows how to destroy a sweater in that case.
Yeah, right.
So you're concentrating on the team, which by logic will affect the group. Do you do group stuff, or you mainly focus on the individual to work with the group, or how does the group aspect fall into your program or your construct?
Yeah, really great. So we have the individual piece, which is all about you learning about you learning about others. We have a daily team training activity where you teach your peers in your department. We have a daily team cleaning where you might clean something around your department. And then if you say, I'm opting into Connect, Grow, Go, I'm opting in to grow faster than the average Joe. We have a culture training, 5 minutes every day, and all these are 5-minute habits. So you have to be willing to be part of a group of 5 or 6 people, and you teach a sentence of our statement of purpose or one of our thinking models every day for 6 months, rotating the trainer, rotating the training. So there's a group of 5, but they're not in your department. Those are 5 people from our company that are learning the thinking behind this company.
Mhm.
And then if you are an area lead, we call those 3 or a 4 section leader. We have vegetable time. So I don't like vegetables at all. And so we had these 2 ladies from Nordstrom, really good friends of ours. We call them the veggie sisters. They fed us vegetables, things we didn't want to do. It was emotional intelligence training, strength finder, all this stuff. They made us talk about feelings. They really helped us, but they helped us develop a habit called veggie time. And so every week we have the office of president, office of general manager, and the office of the sections. So that's our Tuesday gathering, and it's about day after tomorrow. Some tools that we can develop to become better versions of us as a team.
Right.
And then Thursdays we do that with the next group in. So there's a group, there's a bunch of group activities, and those are all habits. So there's we tie those competencies into themes. So the theme of the first month of the year is develops trust. All of the programs are designed to talk about, hey, how do we develop trust? Hey, where have we blown it? So that throughout the year, I know September every year in my company that we're going to be talking about developing trust. That's going to be the main meta
Hmm.
for the month's training.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah,
So I keep hearing you saying you're creating habits
yeah,
as well as learning about yourself. And I like the
yes.
aspect of you about learning others too. So what's the point of all this? Why should anyone care about that? Learning about themselves, why does it affect the team? Like you're calling it a learning library. I've yet to hear you say work. This is not work.
Oh, that's interesting. Um, okay, so there's a fundamental belief that I have, which is if I'm working with my knitting, I don't actually notice I'm working. It actually feels like hobby.
Yeah.
And every hobby I've ever described, I had somebody describe to me, somebody's getting paid to do that. So it is work. So I got paid to teach people to snow ski. I would take kids on a hill, I'd lose a couple, I'd go down and they'd give me more kids and I'd be up on the mountain again. So we believe, and this is worldview, work when it feels like hobby is how it should be. That's the worldview part. And by the way, if that's true, you're creating flow. And so what we know about flow from Toyota is it's at least 30% more efficient, higher quality, lower cost,
Hmm.
shorter lead time, more joy, more innovation, all that kind of stuff. Things that businesses care about, by the way.
Yeah.
So if we're all working in flow, then it feels a lot like play, and it feels a lot like hobby, I should say. And everybody here says, yeah, it doesn't feel like hobby here very often. But when they spend time in other places, they come back and go, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it
You don't know
feels
what
more
you're
like hobby
missing
than I
unless
thought.
you go, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's a good point too. Nothing's perfect. You can never get it 100%.
yeah,
It ebbs
yeah,
and flows.
yeah. And the real is we are running a business, and in order to fund this business,
Yeah.
we have to be excellent at what we do. So this sounds like a human development program, and it is 100%. It's all about that because honestly, most of the profit that we generate is not going to hit our financials. It's
Oh,
it's
tell me
it's
about
the
that.
key. Well, the more capable a human being is, the more likely they can take on a greater assignment. This company isn't big enough to support the level of growth in all the people that we're touching. So
Right.
that means that the profit, the benefit, and I'm absolutely thrilled with this, isn't here. And it might be. To be surrounded by smart people learning and doing stuff together, we derive plenty of benefit. But the actual math, the actual return to community is for sure outside my four walls. And I'm totally okay with that, thrilled with that. But it drives different thinking. The minute we start saying we are going to do our part to prosper our folks together
Hmm.
and prosper with them, and we're going to make sure that there's something sustainable that after they're gone, they're still blessing our community with what we've given them. It changes it from being a training and retaining
Yeah.
to equipping and sending. It gives me totally different energy. It,
You've been doing, was it, you said 25 years you've been running this place now, or you've been around 25?
yeah, I've worked here for 40 years this year. I've been the president for 24,
Okay. So
25.
24 years ago, that wasn't the culture. That wasn't the system, was it?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
So,
No.
because I'm just really getting intrigued here because we've talked quite a few times and I never really got to know the depth of your program. And now I'm understanding how you talk. Like we've been on the Contributors Corner with the Beats Working podcast with Mark Wright and Dan Rogers. And now I'm starting to get you and where you're coming from. So you're working in a purpose now. You're not working for money. You're not working for more free time. You're not working for more relationships. Well, you are, but it's very tied to the purpose. Your
Yeah, for
purpose
sure.
now is about people and growing them and
Yeah.
then creating this learning library. So when did this shift occur over this 24-year span of growth?
I'm not good at the details, as you
I'll
know,
give or
and the
take
facts.
10 years.
Yeah, give or take. Yeah. So a major transformation happened when we were teaching organizations and we became overwhelmed, meaning we could have had tours every day of the week. And we
And
started to
this is
say,
at
we'll do
your
it 3 days.
facility you're referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
In our
Yeah.
factory. I was asked to go to Holland to help some doctors and help a hospital system. And our condition was, hey, this is love your neighbor stuff, so we won't take money. So I'll gladly come, but I won't accept money. And they didn't like that for, maybe 5 minutes, and they're like, hey, we like that. Typical Dutch. I love them. So anyways, I was presenting, kind of what our thinking is. And my colleague had drawn a house with a dog taking a shit on the carpet. And my presentation was literally, hey, so if your dog takes a shit on the carpet, are you going to have a meeting to discuss it? Are you going to call in an expert? Are you going to, you know, uh, polish it in gold? And they're like, no, 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 you just get rid of the shit. I'm like, that's great. I've been around in your hospital for quite a while. There's a lot of dog shit laying around. Why is it still there? Some version of that story.
Yeah.
And this woman stood up and said, yeah, Mr. Cheese, that's what my last name means in Dutch. Mr.
Oh, no
Cheese,
way.
who's the
Okay.
that's so funny. So funny. It's so great. Yeah. Um,
Big cheese.
couldn't be better. Yeah, yeah. Mr. Cheese, who's the dog in your story? And I'm on stage and I'm crying. Like, oh damn, it's me. I'm harming people I love. I'm harming my organization. I'm
Yeah.
preventing the things I want to. So that was a significant moment. And that was about let's say 15 years ago. Um, and I'm like, I gotta go home. I'm so deeply convicted of my missing the mark. I need to go fix that. Um, and even right now, it's emotional to think about that, which is crazy. Um, there's another thing that occurred along the way, which was, hey, um, I have a company that's actually decent at delivering nearly perfect stuff nearly all the time. So our customers stick with us, and we have a reputation of kind of being assholes, but for sure
Yeah.
doing what we say. Yeah. And so I had never applied that to my marriage or to being a better husband or being a better father or developing the people around us. Like we are pretty good at making a piece of furniture perfectly every time. Why aren't we so good at producing skills and capabilities in people? And this was probably, let's say 5 or 6 years ago, where we really started saying, shall we, people would say, you guys are really good at developing people, but we're like, no, we're not. Like,
You're
and they're
right.
like, yes, you are.
Yeah.
Like, okay, take that out. Let's be honest about it. If we actually applied our talent to thinking about the future of every soul that walks into our building, what would we do differently? And we're just now starting to have the outcomes and starting to have the things in place where you say, oh, we're not good at it yet, but we are intentional, we are doing it, and it might be sustainable. We don't know that yet.
Well, I think it'd be way more sustainable than the old model, which is what
For
we
sure.
were,
Yeah, yeah,
which we were raised on to a certain extent,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It's very different. It's not extraction. It's a lot more seed planting.
Yeah. And I like that analogy because that's what I've always wanted. And that's what I started to do with my companies is let's work on the person, get them to understand, and let's make sure that they're working in their abilities the best as they can. And that's what I do with my ADHD entrepreneur clients. How do you work
Mm,
best,
mm,
man?
mm.
What's the best thing? And let's get rid of the stuff you shouldn't be doing, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah,
because. So
yeah,
no, I
yeah.
really
Awesome.
appreciate you more, man. Like I'm glad you spent the time here to discuss that and especially to explain more of the passion and the purpose behind it. And I really like the learning library. Work is the learning
Yeah,
library. And
yeah,
I'm gonna have to
yeah.
borrow
It's
that
fun.
term.
Oh, take it. Yeah,
You'll
we
take
don't
it.
trademark anything. Yeah, yeah.
And
Grab
also
it.
like the thing about your mission is to, mission to shine light on people and around. And the more than one mentor to me for their growth is very selfless about you.
Mm,
Because if you're going to
mm,
allow, like a lot of times people just want one mentor. I just want one mentee because I'm the mentor. But if you're allowing
mm.
people to have multiple mentors, that's about them now, not about you.
Mm,
And I like
interesting.
that.
Yeah, that's a different perspective. Yeah,
And
hadn't
then the
hadn't thought
fact that,
about that.
yeah, and then the fact that you can learn multiple things from multiple people, I think is very powerful. And like you summed it up right well. If you're learning about you and you learn about others, then everyone wins.
We think so. Yeah, we think so.
Oh,
Yeah.
so stop being so negative and hard on yourself. You know it's working. You know it's working. So
Yeah.
where can we find you and your company? Is it called Truth Bit Pull or did I misunderstand
Yep.
that?
Yeah, yeah. If you want to know about the thinking,
Mhm.
truthbitfull.com is and we're super passionate about helping other business people do this because Financially, it makes the business succeed, but so much more. So, and we put resources out on the webpage, learning resources. And if people are like, "Hey, I want to learn more," watch a podcast and call me. You can just do about, find me, whatever. I'll gladly elaborate on any of the questions a person will have. Our furniture business, aerospace business, what people think of us as what do we do, is my last name, costtailored.com. And those are we basically build for bigger companies. We outsource sales and design and marketing to big companies. So when a local company here in Seattle makes an airplane or sells an airplane, they're my sales team. I just make the
Gotcha.
parts that go in it. So
Nice.
we don't have anything in the world that people can buy from us.
All right. So we'll have that website in the LinkedIn or the show notes too, as well, for the listeners. And he's honest. He's telling the truth. Reach out anytime. I know he'll respond. Like, thanks, man. I think you really demonstrate how developing people individually develops a stronger team, and in the end develops a more profitable company, and one that's more fun. Or like you said, it's a hobby. You get an easier flow and everyone enjoys themselves.
Yeah. We're seeing that. We're seeing more joy. Yep.
Excellent. And to you, the listener, how do you develop your team member in order to develop your team? I'd like to hear from you. Jeff, thanks, my man. I appreciate your time and your wisdom.
Yeah. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah. Great time.
And to you, the listener, thanks for learning with me. Talk to you soon.